Welcome, welcome. We are looking at the PTR patch notes for March 19th. They just hit the news and the PTR is just updating. So I'm just going to go through the patch notes, give you my opinion on them. As always, only my opinion expressed, might not be what you think about stuff. And then also, I might just be incorrect because I'm looking at them for the first time for the stream and for the video. Okay, so navigation, we don't want to go through that. StarCraft 20th anniversary. We're celebrating 20 years of StarCraft with new portraits. That's pretty cool. You can get them by just logging in to Heroes from March 27 to April 23rd. That means we can probably expect the patch next week. And I would assume that this is actually March 28 for Europe, but we'll see. New hero, Fenix. I'm not going to go through that as much because we will wait for next week and release on the live server. I tried to play PTR in the last couple of patches, but the wait times are always super long, so it's not really interesting to me. I just don't want to spend that much time waiting. But if you're interested, obviously he is now live. Art. Heroes' abilities and talents. Heroes will no longer leave behind a ghost that fades away after casting Hearthstone. I think that's a little bit of a pity. I really enjoyed, generally speaking, those small effects that you don't see all the time, and that do not like block anything. Could it be confusing, like if you're casting something and they disappear? Maybe it's that. But I think it's just like a small thing that I'm going to be missing. User interface, in-game UI, party frames. Muting another player's pings will now also mute any death timer pings that player issue with alt clicking. Okay. While in undying form, Leoric's party frame health bar will display how much time remains before he respawns. I was unaware that it wasn't doing that. His health bar will display how much time remains. I guess it fills, but it's on the on the party frames. Okay, I understand. So on the party frames, if you can now see that he's respawning on the health, not only on the timer. I don't know if that's really useful. I think the timer is much more precise. Score screen tab. Icons have replaced the column headers on the in-game score screen. Hover the mouse cursor over the icons for this brief description of each column. Okay. I guess. Icons have replaced the column header. Oh, okay. I understand. So it's the tab screen, like siege damage and everything. That's now more of an icon rather than a text. Drive mode. Hero and player nameplates that appear beneath hero portraits have swapped positions. Hero names will now appear in the upper nameplate and player names will appear in the lower nameplates. This means that it's clearer which hero is picked. I'm okay with that. It takes a little bit away from tournaments, I think, because the player in tournaments is obviously very important. I think it's better like for us users, like for Hero League users. I think that's really good. Allied hero names are now visible to teammates before they lock in their picks. Allied hero names are now visible to teammates before they lock in their picks. Okay. That means that if I hover over Leoric, it will show up to my teammates. And before, you only could know the name of the hero by clicking or by hovering over the hero portrait. Okay, that makes sense. The opposing team's hero names will now not appear until those players lock in their picks. Okay, so it just keeps, further confusions out of the game. Basically, if they haven't picked anything, you don't see anything. I didn't even know that. No, is it currently like that it shows you the hero name? I don't think so, right? But basically to differentiate between these two, it is pointed out. Okay. Spectators cannot see hero names for either team until each player logs in their pick. Okay, that's just clarification now. The opposing team's player names are no longer visible during draft. I personally think that's a bad decision. Spectators cannot see the player names for either team until all players in the draft lobby have logged in their hero. I think these two things are not good for the game. From my personal opinion or my personal view, I like to see enemy players in the draft. Like I like to see enemy names, not only to be able to ban heroes that they might be playing, but also because it feels like I'm playing against other people. If there's only like player 1 till 5 in the opposing team, or not even a name, that looks kind of weird to me. I'm not a big fan of this change. And then I think the spectators, that they can see the names. I don't know if it's limited by technical sites or something, but if you join in a game on Twitch and you want to watch the draft, and you can see the names of the players that are involved, it can be difficult to understand who's who. Like, I don't know, if you like to watch Breeze, but you can't remember if he is on Fnatic or on Dignitas, because you're not too involved in this. You can't see who's playing until the very end. I think that's a downgrade for viewers. Interesting though. Battlegrounds. Try mode. 2 additional target dummies have been added to try mode to assist in testing abilities and talents that can hit multiple targets. Okay. I think that's good, especially for Maiev and stuff like that. You can train more easily what you want to do. I wish you could place them wherever you want to do. I think that would be great. Like if you can just like spawn them or something. You can spawn them on the sandbox modes, I think. Hero Sprawl, Asmodunk. Each gem turned in now grants 3 taste for blood stacks. Killing a hero with Globe of Annihilation now resets its cooldown and refunds its mana cost. Developer comment. With Asmodunk, we want to really reward successful dunks. To do so, we've added a free throw. Haha. Get it? Because dunk. After a successful kill with the globe. This should allow for some really exciting hot streaks. We've also updated the tomb mechanic to give stacks of taste for blood, allowing a team who plays the mechanic to build stacks quite a bit quicker. I think that's great that they change brawls like this. Especially those that are a little tedious maybe, or maybe a little slow. And I think Asmodunk was one of those where you oftentimes had lots of gems and even got pushes, but because Asmodon is so strong in clearing them, it didn't really give you anything to play the mechanic that much. I think that's a good change. Design. Shields. Armor will now mitigate bonus damage. Armor will now mitigate bonus damage dealt to shields by effects like Variant's Shattering Throw and Kel'Thuzad's Strip Shields. Okay, so that means that if you, for example, have 20% armor on you, and Tassada gives you a shield, and then Varian uses Shattering Throw or attacks you or whatever he does to do bonus damage to your shields, they will get 20% less damage of their bonus damage that they're doing. So if Varian does like, I don't know, 100 damage, you will only take 80 damage to your shield. So if you have 100 HP shield, it will only lose 80% and then it will have 20 health left. I think that's smart, and I think it also makes sense. But it's also a big buff. Well, I don't want to say it's a big buff, but it's a buff to shields. And I guess to heroes that already have armor. They get more protected by this. Okay, we have 3 heroes that get changes. Tracer, Varian, and Lily. I already saw the Tracer ones on Reddit. Assassin, stats, Tracer. Health increase from 1,206 to 1,350. So that's 44 life. Plus health regeneration increased by 0.6. And basic attack damage increased from 27 to 29. So she does a little bit more damage. And she has more health, which will coincide with all the nerfs that she's getting. Blink. Charge cooldown increased from 6 to 8 seconds. So it will take you 8 seconds to get a new blink charge. Melee damage reduced from 254 to 220. I guess that is... Is that... Let me have a look. Let's go in-game. And have a look at Tracer. I can actually do this. Tracer. Because I don't know if... I can type. Fire short-range bomb that can touch enemy. If it hits them, bomb explodes after 2 seconds. The ability is slowly charged over time by dealing damage. Okay, so this will also affect how quickly she can charge the bomb. It's not only a nerf to the damage itself, which is not super significant, but 250 health is 250 health, but it also reduces the charge time on the bomb. So that's a nerf to not only the ability, but also to the heroic. Recall, cooldown increase from 26 to 30, so that's a nerf. 4 seconds might not sound like much, but if you have to wait for it, it's actually quite significant increase. And then pulse spam, damage reduced by 60, secondary damage reduced by 30, and then the scaling is increased. So that means that while she does less damage early game, and overall her scaling is better, that means that if you go late game, it still hits quite significantly, which I think is good. Like, I think especially late game, if you nerf a hero by just changing basic numbers and not change anything on the scaling, I oftentimes feel like it just has too much of an impact throughout the game. I think early game nerfs, and this is pretty much a lot of early till late game, but a lot of early game nerfs normally make the hero less annoying to play against. But in late game, in my opinion, every assassin should be viable to kill you or to do a lot of damage. Like, if she doesn't do anything late game, why would you pick her? I'm sure she still has, like, you know, movement and stuff and mobility, but if she can't kill anybody, then Tracer is not better than anybody else because she doesn't have, you know, Wave Clear, for example, or the power to do mercenaries. Balance, bullet time, cooldown reduction increased from 0.1 to 0.15 seconds. That means that every attack you shave off 0.15 seconds of your Q cooldown. So instead of 8, it would be then 7 seconds and 7.45 seconds. It's like it looks small, but I think this can be pretty good, especially now Jumper added functionality. Now it also increases the blink cooldown by 2 seconds. So that means if you use Jumper, which means you have one more Q to use, you will have 10-second cooldown on your blink charges. I think that's smart, the way that it works. It didn't have a downtime beforehand, which to me made it always viable. This now has a downside, so I hope we can maybe see a little bit bullet time, especially in high level play. I think this will be much more popular. Let's have a sip of my tea. Quantum spike. Bonus damage reduced from 10 to 8% maximum health. Yeah, I mean, 2% is 2%, right? So it's just basically a nerf throughout all of her kit. I feel like there needed to be different changes on the level 10 talents. Like, the other ones are not giving her enough benefits to take them. Because she's an assassin, right? So she, like, if she can blow up somebody with a bomb, that's what she's going to do. So that you always pick this. But if it has had different things, like, I don't know, if you successfully land the bomb on somebody, you get a shield or so. It would give her more survivability. And that's a trade-off to the damage. But because of the other nerfs, it might have been, you know, worthwhile or something. But only nerfing this, I kind of feel like it will not change people picking Quantum Spike, because it's just always a good talent, unless you play like Quick Match or something. But like if you play Hero League and you have an opponent tank, it's always a good pick, always. So I don't know. Developer comment: as part of our ongoing effect to trim the frustration of playing against certain heroes, we are making some tuning changes of Tracer. The general philosophy for these changes is threefold: reduce her overall mobility over time, reduce her burst damage, and increase the amount of time that she needs to stay in range of opponents in order to be effective. While we understand that reducing her burst damage via melee and pulse bomb are significant nerfs to her power, we are compensating her by increasing her health and basic attack damage. This should reward Tracer players who are able to bob and weave through opposing skill shots while staying on their target. We'll see. I think it's... for me, it's very different. Let's have a look at heroespatchnotes.com. And then Tracer. So these are the PTR notes from today. And if you haven't known Heroes patch notes, that's a very, very good page to just like see all of the patch notes on one hero or on the game. It's really, really good and kept up to date. So we had changed in March, which was correctly increase the melee radius, and then we had one last August. Ricochet will no longer cause Tracer's basic abilities to bounce to stealth heroes, okay. And then that's a bug fix, design and gameplay. Okay. That's all just bug fixes. So let's see when we had actually, there you go. So in August 2016, so more than 1.5 years ago, there were changes already. So for me, this is confusing because her presence in the meta has just arrived now. Like, it's just back. She was always good with Tassadar, so that's why she was banned a lot of times. But then the double support meta went out of control, and people actually already played her. And now there were changes to the meta. We nerfed supports and everything. Well, with we, I mean Blizzard nerfed supports. And now she is back in popularity, and then she gets nerfed right away. And I feel like it's something that is interesting to me, because I feel that she didn't necessarily need the nerfs. I totally agree that she can be super frustrating to play against and stuff, but I don't know if that's enough to just nerf a hero like this. We'll see. I personally think that she will drop a couple of percentages, because the health and regeneration changes only help like very good Tracer players, and I don't think a lot of people are very good Tracer players. So we'll see what goes with it, but I have to say that I feel like, for example, like the new Malfurion is much more of a part of her being so good than her being good by herself. That being said, I also don't have all the statistics, obviously, as the dev team has. I can only look at health stocks or whatever. So, you know, it's not, you know, that I'm 100% right on this, but I just feel that the changes to her came a little bit surprising to me, just because some people were like unhappy with her. That's how it feels to me. Let's move on. Multiclass Varian. Health reduced from 2,322 to 1. Oh wow, that's 500 health. Okay. Health regeneration reduced. That's by a full, like, so you regenerate 1 health less per second. That's actually pretty huge as well. And then health scaling is increased. That means that late game he has more health. And basic attack damage reduced by 20 nearly. And basic attack damage scaling also. So early game he's much weaker now in terms of base stats. And then late game he gets better. Abilities: Heroic Strike trait. Damage reduced by 15. Damage scaling increased. Lion's Fang functionality. Hitting an enemy heals Varian for 35. Plus 4% per level. And increased to 140 against heroes. And I'm guessing this also increases by 4%. No? Who knows? Could be either way. But that means that you now have a reliable heal on him from level 1 on, which I think was necessary for him. I think he obviously he had issues with his kit and everything, but if you give him healing on level 1, he might actually be able to solo lane as well. Like, not great. I'm not saying like, oh, he can be solo lane and like win all the lanes, but you can put him there and he doesn't like just get shit on by everybody else. Parry. Cooldown increased. Oh, thank you. That's very good. Mana cost increased. I don't know if that was necessary. I personally don't like mana on him. Like, I think it feels weird that he has mana. Obviously it's a balancing tool, but not too much of a fan of it. Talents, level 1, overpower. Damage bonus increased from 20 to 30%. Cool. And then level 4, that's the big one. Kendrick, I saw already Kendrick's tweet. Level 4, basically he gets his heroics now, which is pretty incredible, but also was necessary, I think, because you literally could lose games with him if you didn't play 1 till 10 perfectly. And especially on like 2-lane maps, I think he was basically unusable because you just didn't have anything that helped your team. Like even level 4 takes a long time on some of these maps to get if you're getting dominated. So I think this is a good change. It's a little weird, obviously, because it throws the design philosophy out of the way. I mean, we have Tracer who has her heroic on level 1 already, but this is very different. Taunt. No changes to taunt. So he just gets taunt on level 10. Sorry, on level 4. Colossus Smash. The armor reduction is decreased to 20. I think that's fine. I think that's fine. He has it at level 7, I think, right? Balance. Yeah. So armor talents are pretty available very early on as well. So let's see how much cooldown does it have. 20 seconds. I think that's fine. Maybe the damage has to be tuned. I feel like it could be a little bit too much damage. We'll figure it out. But I think the reduce is definitely already good. And then Twin Blades doesn't get any changes. So basically takes cooldown by 9 seconds and then movement speed is increased. I think that's cool. So maybe these two will be more... I mean, they're already very popular by people that just want to play Varian in Quick Match. But I guess they might be even viable now because you can play him as a bruiser, as a second hero, and then just take one of these very early and dominate something. I wonder if it's going to be too powerful or something. We'll figure it out. Level 7 Lionheart. Increased Lion Fang's healing for damage dealt by heroes by 50%. So from level 7 on, he's also pretty sustainable. That's pretty good. Victory Rush, healing reduced from 400 to 350, cooldown reduced. That's also very good. I really like the fantasy of Victory Rush. It was one of my favorite talents in WoW. And I felt 60 seconds was way too long for what it gave you. And then cooldown reduction by nearby minion is decreased as well. No, it's actually decreased as a nerf. So this is... It gave you 15 seconds before and now gives you 10 seconds, so it's a nerf. Which is, understandable because you only have 30 seconds cooldown and it heals you a little bit less. So basically every 30 seconds you have a little bit smaller heal, but it's only 50 health smaller than it was before. So I think it's also pretty good. And then Live by the Sword is the level 7 talent. Is removed. Okay. So basically his parry, like his protected by the way, haha, meme talent is gone. I think that's also very good. And we haven't seen anything of Shield Wall or Warbringer yet, so they are definitely moved, and we have to see where they go. So he doesn't get protected anymore in level 4, but he gets his heroics back. So I'm not 100% certain if that's already a buff, especially in the taunt way, where you have to go into the enemy team. Definitely interesting changes. Okay. Level 10. Okay, there you go. Shield Wall. Move from level 4. And now also reduces parry's cooldown by 5 seconds, but removes 1 charge. So at the moment, you have 8-second cooldown on the charge, and it will be 3 seconds. Holy shit. Okay. But it will only store 1 charge. So that means that every 3 seconds you have a parry that costs you 15 mana. I think that's better than it was before for him. But it's also more predictable, right? Like, it doesn't get reduced anymore by anything so far. Like, so if you can still attack him into the parry, which was something that a lot of people didn't, like, still did do. Like, they attacked him into his parry and then reduced the cooldown on it. And you can't spam it as much anymore. I mean, 3 seconds is not that long, but it can feel like an eternity if you get a good CC off or something. So I think it's better for him because you're not as reliant on this talent. Like, it's actually okay to not take it and then just have parry. But you have 2 parry charges when you have, like, auto-attacker. And on the other hand, if you take it, it's still pretty good. But it has more counterplay, I think. And then Warbringer, moved from level 4, now also allows variant to charge to allied heroes. This is a nice way to buff it as well. I think that was one of his issues. But I also already see things like, you know, you taunt somebody and then you charge to an ally. It's similar to what Zealots did with Garrosh and Medivh, where they taunted somebody and then went through the portal. So I can see there's like a good synergy here, I think. Cool, I like these changes. And then level 20, Demoralizing Shout, active damage reduction increase from 25 to 40%. Hey, Makia. Yeah, it has a very short range. That's very true. Sorry, Maki and Billy, not Makia and Billy. Yeah, it has a very short range, so it's going to be difficult to see if we can pull off anything, but it's definitely an opportunity. 25-second cooldown, okay. But it's a 5-second. It's a 5-second debuff. So that means that for 5 seconds, they have 40% damage reduction. That's pretty long. How long is Leoric? It's for 4 seconds. Okay. And it's a much shorter cooldown. I actually think I like the buff. It's a level 20 talent. It probably should even be stronger, maybe. But maybe it's too oppressive then. Definitely interesting. Dev comment. We're making a simple change to Varian by moving his heroic abilities. I like how they say a simple change when it's actually a pretty big change. By moving his heroic abilities to level 4. But this will have a large impact on the way he feels during game, I agree. By allowing Varian to get his heroic abilities earlier, he can fulfill the role his team needs before one team develops a significant lead over the other. The increase in Varian's early game power justifies reducing some of his overwhelming powers he gains after level 10 and creates more of an even experience for Varian and his opponents. Not sure. This increase in Varian's early game power justifies reducing some of the overwhelming power he gains after level 10. But there's nothing changed after level 10. I'm very good, thank you. I hope you're doing fine as well, Maki and Billy. That's very interesting. Like, I'm not 100% certain how this statement is true, but I guess the reduction of the parry on shield wall is definitely helping, because late game you don't have as many parries, right? So you're not constantly protected. But overall, I think it's a very interesting change. I'm looking forward to playing him when he comes out. Great. Support. Lily. Talents. Wind Serpent. New functionality. Reduces Cloud Serpent's cooldown by 2 seconds. Casting Cloud Serpent also launches blinding winds at an enemy near the target. Okay. So I think the Wind Serpent talents have been... the Cloud Serpent talents have been pretty lackluster. You don't see them used as often. So buffing one of them is pretty good. And then I think this is also very strong, actually, if you combine it with the level 4 talent. Lily. So if you then go Wind Serpent here, and then you go Hindering Winds and Mass Vortex, you can blind 3 enemies with this, with Mass Vortex, and then you still can blind somebody close to, I want to say, probably the tank, or even close to an assassin that is attacked. by casting Wind Serpent. I think that's pretty cool. I'm definitely gonna try this out. Level 4 Hindering Winds, slow amount reduced from 30 to 25. I kind of agree with this. Her slow can be very annoying, especially early game. You don't have any clans, you don't have a lot of movement abilities if you don't have a high mobility hero, so 30% slow feels very punishing. It doesn't slow you super long, but it's not the point that it doesn't slow you super long. But if you are caught out of position and it slows you for like 1.5 seconds, it can be, you know, game over basically. So I like that it's a little bit less punishing. Cool. Collections, that is just stuff. We can have a look at this in a second. And then new announcers. Oh cool, we have also new announcer Fenix. The Adjutant, that will be an instant buy for me. So if you don't know who the Adjutant is, that's the AI voice in StarCraft for the Terrans. She's the main character in Wings of... Well, not character, but like she's the main point of interest, let's put it this way, in Wings of Liberty. And then Mira Han, I also like this. I think she's gonna have some cool lines for sure. Cool skins, you can have a look at that in a second in the blog. And then we get cardboard animations, cardboard animation portraits and sprays. That's pretty cool. But want to see more gameplay? Bug fixes. General, fix a number of typo and tulip errors. It's always good. Loot chest, fix a rare issue that could prevent players from receiving a loot chest on hero level up. Oh, that would have been super bad. I don't like. That's cool that that's fixed. It hasn't happened to me, so I'm very glad to hear that they fixed a bug that I was never part of, because I think that is pretty sad. Like if you level up and you don't get it, it can be pretty frustrating. AI Chromie, fix an issue preventing AI Chromie from casting Sandblast. Woohoo! AI Gazlo will no longer interrupt its own doubloon turn-ons on BHB in order to place rocket turrets. I've seen this happen in videos where they're like, hey, nope, put in the turret. Hey, nope, put in the turret. Oh, hello, Elisabetka. Long time no see. How are you doing? Leoric, AI Leoric will no longer remain stationary after activating Wraithwalk. I've seen this as well. So basically, they use E and then they didn't move, which is not how you should use Wraithwalk. My friend AI will no longer attempt to cast Entangling Roots on non-heroic enemies. Yeah, people complain about that on Reddit. I thought it was very funny. AI Medivh will no longer become stuck after attempting to use Mine Entrance on Haunted Mines while in Raven form. Oh, I see. Yeah, Uni is very important. And it will take away some of your time that you spend in front of the PC. But glad you're back. Welcome. Murky, fix an issue that could cause AI Murky to repeatedly place eggs in the same location. That's all great. So these are basically quality of life changes for people that play within AI or play AI games. And then obviously also when one of these heroes gets replaced because, or the AI replaces the player because they left, they're a little bit stronger now. So. Art, Gazlo, dying and respawning after learning Robo-Goblin will no longer remove the player selected skin from the Robo-Goblin model. I didn't even know that happened. Mathael's Reaper's Mark visual effects will no longer persist if the target is killed just before the Reaper's Mark is applied. And Nazeebo choosing the Superstition talent while Nazeebo is dead will no longer cause spell shield visual effects to persist on terrain. That was pretty obnoxious, to be honest. Loot chest, the Dihaka portrait will no longer have a placeholder, that's also good. And then Mecha Tasada attacking while using Mecha Morph Mount will no longer cause Distortion Beam to visually originate from Mecha Tasada's head. That's cool, because he's shooting from his fingers, not from his head. Battleground. Battlefield Eternity, destroying a healing fountain in the middle lane will no longer cause minimap icons for healing fountains in other lanes to disappear. That's very helpful. It can be very confusing when you look at the minimap and you don't see a fountain and then you go back somewhere else. And then you see later that there was a fountain available. That's a pretty good fix. Destroying a healing fountain will no longer cause minimap. Okay, that's also for Brex Howlord. Haunted Mines, queuing movement commands during Hearthstone channeling while in the mines will no longer cancel Hearthstone. Okay, that means that before you would press B and then shift right click somewhere and it would cancel your Hearthstone. That would be pretty bad. Volskaya fixed an issue that could cause heroes who were piloting a tree glove to become unresponsive after the protector is destroyed by a damage over time effect. Oh, interesting. So that was like, we didn't see that often, but it still happened to some people, so I'm glad they found the issue for that. And then Warrior Junction fixed an issue that could cause heroes to teleport back to the Hall of Storms after moving to a specific area of terrain before the game begins. Okay. I don't think that was a big thing, but I guess. Here you go. Heroes' abilities and talents. Abathur, monsters will no longer deal area effect damage if on death if Abathur doesn't learn the talent. I rarely see it, so it's probably because of that I don't know about the bug. Rite of Rekshir can no longer be removed when Samuro casts mirror images. That was super annoying, and then Chan cast. So basically it removed the debuff, which is obviously very strong as well. Anubara Cocoon will no longer drop pilot form Diva if she has already successfully cast All Mech. That's a buff to Diva. After learning oil dispersal, oil spills targeting indicator will not correctly increase in the size to reflect the ability's new area effect. That's good. Blaze casting flame stream on targets who is standing in an unignited oil spill will not correctly register as 2 flame stream hits. That's a pretty big fix, because one of the talents requires you to hit both flame streams, and it oftentimes didn't register. So that's pretty good. And then place unignited oil spills will no longer reduce enemy structures. Oh, I didn't know that was happening. Okay, cool. Holy shit, we have lots of bug fixes. Dihaka fixed an issue that could cause drag visual effects to persist. Cool. Diva self-charge percentages will not correctly reset to 0 between rounds and hero sprawls. I had that, I think, happen once to me, where a Diva basically had the explosion right away in the first couple of seconds. That was kind of bad. Gull Shove can no longer be cast while Sho is being pulled by Stitch's hook. Interesting. Genji fixed an issue that could cause enemy target abilities to hit Genji rather than the intended target during a Dragon Blade. So what this means is that Dragon Blade, I think, caused Genji to have a larger hitbox, and then therefore you could hit Genji instead of hitting the target that you aim for, or you would hit Genji even though you missed him. Greymane fixed an issue that could cause Razor Swipe's area of effect and damage to become disjointed from Greymane's location. So basically you would see the damage and the effect somewhere else instead of where you actually attacked. Hanzo, reactivating Dragon's Arrow via play of the game talent after the arrow has traveled beyond Warhead Junction's playable area will no longer cause Hanzo to teleport to an unreachable location. That's a good fix. Illidan hitting 2 heroes with Sweeping Strike at maximum range will not correctly apply the bonus damage granted by the Battered Assault talent. Awesome, so that's fixed, that's really good. Kathusa Chilling Touch can now correctly deal damage to Gal's Eye of Kilrock. I don't know if that was ever an issue for me, but good thing. Kerosene 7-Sided Strike will not correctly target stealth enemy heroes who have been revealed. That was huge. I've seen that happen. Basically, somebody used Chromie's Dragon Eye, I think it's called. No, I don't know what it's called. Basically her reveal on Nova. And then the Kerosene immediately 7-striked and didn't hit anybody. So this is really good. Yorick will no longer become will no longer become unstoppable permanently if he is affected by stasis during Wraith Walk. Interesting. Hasn't happened to me, but that sounds pretty broken if that happened to you. You're basically always unstoppable. Lily casting Cloud Serpent on pilot form. Yeah, that was an issue. It basically removed the serpent and didn't follow the mech. So that's cool that they fixed that. Sonora Cute Leaping Strikes will no longer continue to target an enemy hero who enters stealth before the heroic ability actually fires. So this was basically helping you to follow anybody even though they enter stealth. And you would still cast the ability and then reveal them through that. Arthurian Entangling Roots will no longer affect non-heroic targets. Cool. I don't know which target it affected. I hope that doesn't mean that the Treant doesn't spawn. It should still spawn. I don't think it has a dependency on hitting something. Ragnarok's blind and evasion effects will now cause Empower Sulfur's ability damage to miss. That's a nerf to him. But I guess it's consistent that if you are blinded, your bonus damage doesn't trigger. But definitely nerf to him. Rexar completing the Hunter-Gatherer Talents quest now correctly grants bonus armor to Misha. Cool. Misha focus will now correctly grant Misha its passive 15% movement speed bonus. We don't see Rexa that often, so I think we didn't see too many complaints about this, but these should also be pretty big buffs. Not, I don't say pretty big, but they're definitely buffs, or the fix should be giving them a little bit more power. Samuro casting mirror images now correctly clears any move commands that had been queued for the real Samuro. I think that's important, that you have a fresh start, basically. Stitch's hook visual effects will no longer persist indefinitely if the target is thrown by Garrosh's Wrecking Ball while being pulled towards Stitches. That combo sounds already pretty disgusting, so I'm glad that the hook doesn't stay on the target. Sukov will no longer become unresponsive after attempting to cast Lurking Arm behind the allied Hall of Storms. Okay, cool. And in the Lost Viking Spin to Win, visual effects are no longer visible through the fog of war near the edge of the enemy team's vision. That's good. Always an issue. There's still some spells that you can see, I think. So when they get these removed, it's great. Tracer can no longer cast Pulse Bomb while channeling to launch a nuke on War Junction. That's also very good. Tyrande fixed an issue that could cause Sentinel visual effect to become slightly disjointed from the ability's path of travel. So it will now be easier to hit, I guess. Uther, Devotion's tooltip now more clearly communicates that heroes affected by Uther's basic abilities will gain armor rather than heroes healed by Uther's basic abilities. This is a tooltip correction. The traits functionality has not been changed. So this means basically, for example, if you use Holy Light on somebody, but they're full health, they still get armor, instead of they have to miss health to get the armor buff. And I guess it also should mean that only allied heroes are getting this, because enemies don't get armor buff from stunning them. Valera activating Gripping Poison, Wound Poison, or Thistletea will no longer clear queued orders or abilities. Awesome. Bala fixed an issue that could prevent Hungering Arrow. There you go. Preventing hunger. Prevent Hungering Arrow from seeking or dealing damage to targets after the first when cast at maximum range. I've seen this happen, and I always thought that it just missed or something. But that's a good fix. And then Sound. Hansen will no longer play an incorrect voiceover line to allies upon casting Hearthstone. Illidan, the volume for Illidan's voiceover during the hunt has been reduced to better match the other in-game sounds. This is still a problem for many people when they get hunted, so... Cool, we're through, that's it. Awesome. Cool patch, and yeah, we can't wait for it. I think next week they should be patching it, because the time frame for the portraits that were mentioned at the beginning said something about the 27th. Yeah, that's next week, Tuesday, so they should be patching next week, I guess. Cool. Then we'll see you then, I guess. Have a good one.